Good evening, ma'ams and sirs. Thank you for tuning in to RP2 Vision. I am your host, Ronald Ray, and this is AEW Dynamite Recap. We kicked it off with Chris Jericho and his Jericho Appreciation Society coming to the ring to the familiar song of Judas. And I will say, if there's one cool entrance music in wrestling right now, it's that one. And it's very cool. There's one that doesn't go, oh, 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 that people want to sing along to. This one is very good. Of course, they coming in and they're immediately talking about what losers Philadelphia fans are and the city of Philadelphia. And they want to give fans a chance to have a championship celebration. During the course of the promo, Chris Jericho gladly told the crowd that pro wrestlers always go down to sports entertainers, in which this led up to him calling Daniel Garcia, the best technical sports entertainer in the world. And he also said he has a present for him. Gave him a box. Why not being a purple bucket hat? You can definitely tell Daniel was not impressed by the gift. He threw the hat down and knocked out the pizza guy. This also prompted him to tell Chris Jericho that he's had enough of it and it's about time he got something off his chest. And when he was about to do it, Jericho cut him off and said, "Watch your words." Next thing that happens, Daniel Bryan comes out and says, "Hey, you ain't got to take this. You can do what you want. You can either stay with Jericho and the Jericho Appreciation Society, or he can join the Blackpool Club. The choice is up to him." Chris Jericho would eventually cut off Bryan Danielson and tell him that Daniel Garcia does what Chris Jericho says to do. And this led to Daniel Garcia reminding him that no, he don't. He does what he wants to do. Chris Jericho does not own Daniel Garcia. And he asked the crowd, since they won't be entertained, would him throwing a pizza box, tagging with Justin Roberts, would that be entertaining? Or would it be entertaining for Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson tag up against Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara? This would all lead up to Bryan Danielson going up against Daddy Magic Matt Bernard. This would all lead up to Bryan Danielson going up against Daddy Magic. Admittedly, I'm not that familiar with Matt Bernard, but he made a pretty good showing of himself and has some outside interference help from Angelo Parker before Claudio Castagnoli came in and straightened that out. Bryan Danielson will pick up the win using the LaBelle lock. Next, we'll have a couple of hype videos. One of them featuring Jon Moxley and Juice Robinson. The next one featuring MJF. At this time, MJF was supposed to come out for a promo, but Wheeler Yuta came out instead and basically said he's been hit harder by better men than MJF. The problem he had was when he put his hands on Tony Schiavone last week. MJF will finally come out and pretty much run down everybody. Tony Schiavone, the Philly crowd, everybody for being a coward, but gave Wheeler Yuta some props, reminding people that they wrestled each other up and down the indie circuit, and he was one of the best wrestlers he's ever faced. But he also said that on the microphone, he can't touch MJF. And that's when he said Daddy had to put Wheeler in his place. And that's when he said Daddy had to put Wheeler in his place. And that's when he said Wheeler then gets out of the ring, and wants to confront MJF, and that's when the Gun Club shows up. MJF says he's out of there, that they don't deserve to hear his catchphrase, so he gets Austin Gunn to say his catchphrase for him. Another hype video will appear, hyping the match between Darby Allin and Jay Lethal, which will take place next week on Dynamite. Another hype video will appear, hyping the. This will bring us to our next match, which was the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley against Juice Robinson. This will bring us to, and from the get-go, this was a brawl. Even before Jon Moxley could get in the ring, Juice Robinson attacked Moxley from behind, outside the ring, and they brawled from there. Lefts, rights, kicks, stomps, everything. Midway in the match, they were fighting outside, and Robinson threw Moxley across the announcer's table, which caused Moxley to get busted open. But that still didn't keep him down. Once they got back in the ring, Moxley was going for his, what they call it, the, hold on one second. The Paradigm Shift DDT, basically a butterfly DDT, like Mick Foley used to use. Anyway, he missed that. Robinson threw him in a ring post, comes back, hits down Prettier, which he calls Pulp Fiction, had him tied up, but only get a 2 count. Moxley would have make a comeback, reversing that airplane spin from the torture rack position, giving him the regal knee and a few stomps, threw on a cross arm breaker, and that caused Juice Robinson to tap out. Your winner is Jon Moxley. Following the match, Hangman Adam Page, the former AEW champion, came out and got face-to-face with Jon Moxley. But before anything happened there, MJF decided to run his mouth some more. And of course, he wouldn't pay attention because Wheeler Yuta decided to sneak up behind him, and then they started brawling. Page would come out, Sarah B would come out and come promo and say there's going to be some changes in the women's division at AEW, and says she's the Revolution, and invited a few of the women to come out. 5 of them came out. Toni Storm, the current interim AEW Women's Champion, Athena, Sky Blue, Madison Rayne, and Willow Nightingale. As Paige was giving prompts to Toni Storm, saying she thinks she's the best champion in AEW right now, and says something about she's finally being utilized in her full potential. Then got cut off with Britt Baker and her little crew coming out, mentioning that, oh, look here, we have another new toy, and reminds people that she's seen him come and she's seen him go. This will cause the next match between Serena Dweeb and Toni Storm to be a lumberjack match. Using the Avalanche Piledriver, Toni Storm will get the pinfall. Next up, we have a promo with the Acclaim, claiming next week will be Scissor Day. Next up will be a promo with the Andrade family. And a big story with this is Matt Hardy trying to get back and teaming up with a Private Party. Following that was a quick little squash match where Ricky Starks defeating Eli Ism using the spear. And now it's main event time. Your Ring of Honor Heavyweight Champion Chris Jericho defended the championship against former champion Bandito. Bandito I've seen, of course, a few times in Ring of Honor. Seemed to be pretty good. Surprised when Ring of Honor went down that he hadn't been signed by really AEW or WWE yet, but he's got plenty of time. And now it's main event time. Your Ring of Honor heavyweight champion Chris Jericho defended the championship against former champion Bandito. Bandito I've seen, of course, a few times in Ring of Honor. Seemed to be pretty good. Surprised when Ring of Honor went down that he hadn't been signed by really AEW or WWE yet, but he's got plenty of time. So do we start out with the Code of Honor handshake? It almost looked that way till Jericho decided to tell Bandito he's number one using the middle finger. Bandito didn't appreciate it. Started right in with the right hands. Sends out Chris Jericho. Bandito with a suicide dive. Then runs back in the ring, hits the ropes again with another over the top rope dive, and Chris Jericho was there every step of the way. So do we start out with the Code of Honor handshake? It almost looked that way till Jericho decided to tell Bandito he's number one using the middle finger. Bandito didn't appreciate it. Started right in with the right hands. Sends out Chris Jericho. Bandito with a suicide dive. Then runs back in the ring, hits the ropes again with another over the top rope dive, and Chris Jericho was there every step of the way. A lot of near falls in this match. A few times looked like Bandito might come out with it, but in the end it was Chris Jericho with a lion tamer after he had poked him in the eye and covered his eyes up. Those dirty underhanded tricks. Anyway, Chris Jericho gets a win and remains Ring of Honor champion. After the match, he told everybody he's going to take everybody out of Ring of Honor. Wrestlers, announcers, all of them. This one he low blows Bobby Cruz and hits the Judas effect. He also announces that he will face Bryan Danielson in Canada. Well, folks, this concludes the AEW Dynamite. Decent show. A lot more promos than this one. I think it's because this was more of a regular show, and last week's show was kind of a pay-per-view-esque, kind of a throwback to the old NWA / WCW Class of Champions they used to have. But still, pretty good show. Some good build-up. Kind of hard to say what my favorite. I really like the Jon Moxley Juice Robinson match. I actually like this one too. It was very technically sound. A lot of near falls. Jericho did make Bandito look like he was actually going to win a few times. Anyway, if you like what you heard, you know what to do. Click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, you folks take it easy, and I'll see you next time.